Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. Tonight is part of a larger series that we've been calling Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. Thank you once again for joining us. My name is Ricky Hill, and I'm part of the admissions team as an e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Tonight, we are coming together for the Transfer Returning and Veterans Program Meet and Greet. So welcome once again. Before we get started, let me give you a couple of quick tips. If you would like to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking on the audio settings button and making those changes as needed. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen and make those settings there. Lastly, and most importantly, we would love to hear from you this evening, so please feel free to send us your questions and comments using the Q&A button at the lower portion of your screen. Simply click on that button, send in your questions, and we will get to those throughout the presentation, as well as at the end of this session in a live question and answer opportunity. Once again, it is my great pleasure to join you this evening. My name is Ricky Hill as an e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Right now, I'd like to go ahead and get things kicked off by handing it over to my colleague, Rosa.
All right, thank you, Ricky. I want to welcome everyone for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. We are so excited to have you all. Just a little bit about us. We are TRV, and this is our TRV meet and greet. So what is TRV? TRV stands for Transfer Returning and Veteran Students. So those are the three student populations that we serve. When we talk about transfer students, that's all transfer students. So whether you're lower division transfer students or upper division transfer student, if you're transferring from a community college or another public university or an out-of-state university, you would be considered a transfer student. Returning student, that would be either a student who started off here at UC Merced and then maybe decided to take a break from their educational journey and now has returned back to campus. Or another definition of returning student is those who decide to pursue their education elsewhere and then eventually decide to come back to higher ed. Veterans, anyone who served in any of the military branches. We also support those who are veteran dependents or veteran spouses as well. So if you meet any of those criteria or you identify with any of those populations, we welcome you to the TRV family. So the TRV team. So this is our TRV staff for the 2020, or actually now 2021 spring semester. So I'm going to go ahead and start with introducing my staff, starting with Nancy. So Nancy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nancy Ventura Martinez. I am a fourth-year human biology major. I transferred from Clovis Community College. And like I said, this is my last semester, and I'm hoping to do a clinical lab scientist program or start graduate school in either the field of immunology or chemistry. And I'll pass it on to Erica.
Thank you, Nancy. My name is Erica Ramsey, and I'm a third-year public health major. I'm a traditional student, but I work for TRV, and I'm also a veteran dependent. I'm also the incoming lead student coordinator for fall 2021. And my interests are research in epidemiology and environmental health and focusing on minority populations and disparities.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yolanda, and I'm a fourth-year student, but I still have one more semester here at UC Merced. I'm also a transfer student, transferred from Delta College, and I'm a public health major, and my interests are in like health disparities, public health, and Latino and immigrant health. And I'll pass it over to Abigail.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail. I am a fourth-year public health student. I transferred from Las Positas College here in Livermore. This is my last semester, so I am planning to apply to graduate school in public and emphasize it in public health. But I'm very interested in maternal and child health and health disparities. And now I'll pass it to Paola.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paola Alonso. I'm a third-year psych major. I transferred over from Skyline College in the Bay Area. My interests are within developmental psych and specifically looking at mental health like depression, anxiety, and family relationships.
Perfect. Thank you. So this is our current TRV team that we have for this semester. We also currently have a transfer den, and the transfer dens were created as a virtual community since with distance learning this semester and last semester, this was the UC's way of making sure that we're still connected to our students and students can still have that support as needed. So for our transfer dens, we had Luis, who happens to also be a public health major. I didn't realize how many public health majors I had, to be honest, until the other week, but we had quite a few in the office. And Zenaida, who is a biology major, and then Crystal, who is a sociology major, with Zenaida and Crystal graduating and Luis continuing on and graduating in the fall. So if you're coming from a California community college and you have a student support service area or student services area, this is basically what it would be like. So we have the Calvin E. Bright Success Center. So that's student services in a nutshell. Calvin E. Bright Success Center focuses on 3 aspects. So one of them being educational equity and access, another being learning support, and the last being transitional programs. So looking at educational equity and access, we have services for undocumented students. So if your community college has currently a DRC or undocu ally club or undocu counselor, this would be the service thing that you would use or utilize here at UC Merced. So services for undocumented students. If you are coming from a mixed status household, so you yourself identify as someone who is documented, but maybe your parents aren't, or if you're married, your spouse isn't, you can still utilize this, the support services from our services for undocumented students. So if you need legal assistance, if you're filling out DACA for the first time or renewing DACA, you need help, maybe you need help with even paying for DACA, then you could use the services at that office. They're very transfer friendly as well. So definitely utilize that service that applies to you. Guardian Scholars Program. So if you're currently part of Next Up, or I think the other one is KV or KV, then you would then use Guardian Scholars Program. Guardian Scholars Programs for any student who was has either experienced homelessness or is currently experiencing homelessness or in danger of experiencing homelessness, or if you were possibly former foster youth, then you would qualify for the services from GSP, that's what we call it, Guardian Scholars Program. Be It Lux is typically for traditional first year students only, and it's something that you don't apply to, you get invited into, but again, only for first year students. So any program that's listed in any of my slides that has the asterisk next to it, that's something that is transfer friendly. So that's something that any transfer student could then utilize. For learning support and engagement, we have PALS, which is our peer assisted learning support, which is tutoring. I'm gonna let you guys know like right now that for whatever reason, UC Merced loves their acronyms. So there's a lot of just letters being thrown at you, especially your first semester. And you're like, well, what is that? GSP, PALS, CCPA, like you'll just hear letters being thrown everywhere, but you'll get used to it as you learn how to speak the language of UC Merced. Nextly, with learning support engagement, we have our Success Mentor Program, again, traditionally for first year students, but just so transfer students, as just so you know, all of these programs hire students too, and you can apply for any of the positions within these programs. So a lot of job opportunity out there for you all. And then looking at transitional programs. So new student orientation. For those of you who have already been admitted, you should have been at least received like information about transfer orientation or been invited to go ahead and sign up for it. Transfer orientation, I believe, is July 9th. If you're not able to make it to the July 9th transfer orientation, there is an alternative date as well, just so you all know. And transfer orientation will be online. And then we have STEP. STEP is originally a TRIO program, but it's actually going to be fully incorporated into the campus. So it will no longer be considered a TRIO program, if that makes sense. Either way, same support. And it will still be continued to call STEP. So if you were currently a TRIO student at like Fresno City, Columbia College, MSJC, I know there's a lot of TRIO programs out there. That's definitely a good program to join. And then again, we have TRV. So if any of you are currently in EOPS or if you're coming from another university, if you're an EOP, TRV is the closest that we have to EOPS or EOP. With that, we help you with many aspects, and I'll kind of go into that right now. Then there's just general resources. So if you need help with just tutoring support, workshops, anything like that, BSC, the Bright Success Center, we offer all the supports as well. So what is TRV? TRV has a couple of pillars within it. One of them is that we want to make sure all of our transfer students, returning veteran students, are knowledgeable of the university resources. I like to explain transferring kind of like moving. So you've all have lived in a house before or lived in an apartment, you lived somewhere before and you're familiar with that. You're familiar with the area, you know where the grocery stores are, you know where the bathrooms are, you're familiar with it. But now you're moving. And some of you may actually physically be moving to come to our community, but you're moving and you're moving to a whole new home, UC Merced. So yes, you've used, the kitchen sink before, you've used, your own dining center or cafeteria. You have used, your counselors or advisors, but now you're using something else. And it might be a little hard to find them. And like I said before, we love acronyms. So that's where TRV comes. We're going to come and we're going to help you with navigating that system because it's kind of scary the first time around. We also help with academic growth and development. So one of the first events that we have as TRV is My Degree Audit. If you're coming from a California community college, your school might call it an ed plan or an SEP. Here we call it My Degree Audit, and that's the terminology that you'll use once you start here. So just how do you do that? How do you check that you're on track for graduation? How do you check to see if you're on track to go to grad school or for internships? Will help you with that. And then personal growth and development, something that we decided to implement this year is that we're starting partnerships with other programs. So we started a year-long partnership with GSP where we offered a grad school series where we just offered support for graduate school. We brought alum to come back. We brought back students who have already gone through that process, and we've had workshops regarding graduate school. And then this semester, currently, we just finished our career development series where we offered mock interviews, how to make a resume, things like that. Next year, we're partnering with STEP to offer financial literacy workshops. We already started that this semester, but kind of continuing that, understanding credit and loans, how to buy a house. I always tell students, if these are the things that we possibly don't know, but we want to help you, learn these things together. So that's just a little bit about TRV. So these are some of the events that we had this semester, and I'm going to call on Nancy and Erica to go ahead and speak on this.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. As Rosa was mentioning earlier, we are planning to and have partnered with other campus programs such as GSP, and then next year would be with STEP. But specifically for the events, last semester we had a graduate school series in which we had a series of workshops that allowed you to gain a lot of knowledge about the application process, what they want to see in your application, how to pick a graduate school, and talk to the research program here on campus called UROC. And then this semester, we also focused on a series, but it was career-based. So we had, we partnered with Guardian Scholars, and we had mock interviews and other types of programs and workshops that allowed you to be career ready. And I don't know if my coworker Erica would like to add on that as well.
Thank you, Nancy. In addition to professional development and just educational success, we also do offer kind of social events as well. So at these events, for example, we have coffee or tea with TRV, which is kind of almost like an office hours where you can come and ask questions, but also other transfer students join. We play games, we can get to know one another. And I know that through a lot of our socials, a lot of other transfer students have found friends, housemates, and it's just a really great way to connect with one another. So if you're able to attend a social event, I totally recommend it because it's just a great way to, establish those relationships, because we do understand that it's a little bit more difficult when you're transferring in compared to a traditional student who's been here since they've been a freshman. So yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, team. So yeah, these are just some of the events that we had this semester. If any of you have ideas for future events, definitely add that to the chat. I love to get student feedback. So if there's something on here that are like, oh, that kind of looks interesting, could you do that again? Or hey, have you thought about doing this? Definitely add to the chat. Again, I would love to have your guys' input as well. So I highly recommend visiting the TRV website. If you go onto the TRV website, you'll be able to find more information about the program, our mission statement, also program requirements. But I honestly wouldn't look too into the program requirements as they are going to change. And I'm very flexible with the students. Again, I remember what it was like to be a transfer student. So totally understand it if you are a parent, if you are working part-time, working full-time, or 2 part-time jobs. Totally understand that. I always ask students to just let me know what's going on or disclose as much as they're comfortable with, and that will work with you. On the TRV website currently, the intake form is not live for the next year, so don't fill it out yet. Come orientation, that's when I'll have it officially live. But right now, if you have questions and you want to meet with some of the current staff, or you want to meet myself, you can go ahead and schedule an appointment. You don't have to be a current UC Merced student to do so. You can talk to us whenever you feel like it. We also have our upcoming events on there. We also do a bi-weekly newsletter. We use CAT courses to post any like events, announcements. You can also message us through that as well. CAT courses is Canvas, but UC Merced renamed it to CAT courses, which you'll see a lot on campus. You'll recognize certain systems, but it will be called something else like CAT courses, Bobcat this, or UCM that. And that's just UC Merced putting its own twist on it. Just so you guys know, because that's something I noticed really early on as a transfer student. But you could find all that information on our website. So I'm just going to go over some additional resources for transfer students, as I see, it's really important for you to know just everything that is available to you. So one of them being academic support. As I mentioned before, we have PALS. PALS does an array of supports and tutoring for different courses. Majority of courses can get help through PALS. Then we have the UC Merced Writing Center, which is exactly what it sounds like, is what it is. It's for if you need help writing essays. If most students, let's say you're a psychology major, first semester, you're going to take like a writing for psychology or writing for biology. So if you do need help with those courses, Writing Center is there for you. If you need help with any math courses, science, technology, engineering, the STEM Center is there for you. STEM Center will also take on tutors. So if you need that extra experience, or you're just really knowledgeable in a class that you've already taken and you want to help other people out, another good resource for you. And then we have the Math Center at UC Merced. I'll be honest, I haven't been able to check it out yet, but I've heard really amazing things about the center. So hopefully in the fall, if we're able to go back to campus, you're able to go ahead and check that out if you're a math student, or even if you're taking simply a math class. Advising. So for transfer students, just so you know, again, if you're coming from a CSU or UC, you're probably already familiar with it. They're called advisors. But if you're coming from a California community college, all of you had counselors. Maybe you had advisors at your community college, but majority of the time you had counselors. For UC Merced and most UCs, you have advisors, so just different names. And actually for our transfer population, it's very different. Our transfer advisors usually are doing multiple, they're wearing multiple hats, which is nice for you because you have someone who's very well experienced and well equipped in that field of study. So for example, the School of Engineering, your guys' transfer advisor is Carla, oh my gosh, Gonzalez, there we go. Sorry about that. She is the manager of undergraduates for the School of Engineering. So amazing resource to have. She cares deeply about the engineering students. She will work with you for internships. Every engineering student that I have worked with has gotten an internship. A lot of them are working and, going on to grad school. So very great, she's amazing with our engineering program. And then for the School of Natural Sciences, we have Erica Robbins, who also happens to be the director of student services and pre-health advisor for the School of Natural Sciences. again, super hands-on. They want to work with you. They want to get you ready. Both of them are really amazing at what they do, and they really understand that transfer students don't have, as long as the time as traditional students. So they want to make sure you're ready for those internships, for graduate school, for next steps, whatever it is that you want to do when you graduate. So School of Social Sciences, Humanities, Arts. So Ku Her, actually, she is no longer with UC Merced. She's off to on her next adventure. So we are currently, I think we're still waiting to see what it will look like for Shaw. That's what it's called, Shaw, just so you guys know, again, the acronyms. But you will have an advisor. And if you, at any point in time you're like, I don't know who my advisor is, can somebody help me? Just email us at TRV, and we'll go ahead and figure out who your advisor is for you. So no worries there. If you are a lower division undeclared transfer student, and you will know if you are within this population because you won't have 60 units, and when you are admitted, it will say undeclared. And I think it will say actually to lower division undeclared. But your advisor is going to be Alan, and Alan will go ahead and work with you to make sure that you can declare a major. Once you declare a major, then you're basically graduating on to a new advisor, whether that's Carla, Erica, or a Shaw advisor. Some advice about academic advising: definitely advocate for yourself. All of you who come again from a community college, you know exactly how the hustle and bustle can be in a counseling office, same thing in an advising office. So definitely advocate for yourself if you need to speak to somebody. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Something that happens quite a bit with transfer students, for whatever reason, sometimes when the transcripts are going in and it's talking to the system, it's an online system, and sometimes it will not count one of your classes as transferring in or count it for the right prerequisite, but for a fact it does count because you worked with Sheila or somebody from admissions, or you worked with your counselor at the community college, so you're aware it should count. Tell your advisor, because like I said, sometimes for whatever reason online it just doesn't go through all the way. And always double check your My Degree audit. Double check, make sure everything's counted, everything transferred over, and transferred over where it's supposed to be. It is, like I mentioned before, My Degree audit is a computer system, so it can make a mistake. It's nobody's fault. It's just, sometimes that happens, but I've heard it happen many of times. It happened to me when I was a transfer student, because I did transfer to UC Merced. And I just had to talk to my advisor, like, hey, I noticed this and it doesn't seem right. Can you double check it? And my advisor was great. They double checked it. Sure enough, okay, this needs to be fixed and adjusted, and easy enough to do so. Definitely identify your support system too. So let's say you started off with an advisor, just simply a counselor just at a community college, and maybe you hit it off, you have a great relationship, great. Sometimes you're not able to build rapport with people, and that's fine too. Just make sure you identify an advisor that you work well with, and making sure that you're advocating for your needs. Especially as a transfer student, you only have about 2, maybe 2.5, 3 years max here. You want to make sure you're maximizing your time. So financial support. I know a lot of transfer students are wondering about their financial aid. Hopefully, if you've already been admitted, you should have received your financial aid award letter. If not, it should be coming soon. But here are some scholarships for incoming transfer students. So that's quite a big list, and we might even have some additional ones for your community college, especially if you're transferring from the Central Valley, like Merced College or Clovis or MJC. We might have some partnered with those community colleges too. So definitely check those out. If you're a returning student, we also have some scholarships for you too. Also, I highly recommend you talk to our staff, but really talk to us, especially if you're looking for a scholarship, because sometimes financial aid will let me know, like, hey, a donor just came up and they want to donate scholarship money to maybe a veteran spouse. Do you know of any veteran spouses? And then I'm like, okay, let me pull up my system and see who I could find. That happens sometimes. So definitely recommend you talking to us and letting us know, like, hey, just trying to see if there's any extra money here, because maybe there is, you never know. So it doesn't hurt to ask. So if you are looking for scholarships or just need help financially, Lisa is our scholarship coordinator, and she is, again, amazing. She really works with us, and she will help you with finding a scholarship if that's what you need, or how to apply for a scholarship. Or let's say you received a scholarship from an outside party, maybe from like a community organization or from like the bank. I know some banks offer scholarships, and you're figuring out, how do I get that money now to UC Merced? Lisa will help you do so. If you are wondering about just like, how do I balance my money or budget my money to make sure I can pay for rent if you're going to live off campus, or, you know, to pay for a car if you're trying to buy a car now that you're coming to UC Merced, Shara is our financial wellness coordinator, and she will help you with all that. Anything financial, really, she can help you with. So if you do need help with that, Shara is your person. If you received a letter inviting you to join the transfer scholarship program and you're like, I don't know what this is, can somebody help me? You want to talk to Lauren. You can also talk to myself or anybody on the team, but Lauren is our financial aid liaison for our transfer scholarship program, just so you all are aware. All right, so at this time, if you have any questions, please use the Q&A to add in your questions. You can either ask it, you know, to myself or questions to the staff also. So again, the staff, all of them are current students here. A lot of them are about to graduate. So if you have questions about that, now is your time. Okay, so I do have a question here, and it says, what drew you to the university? So if anybody wants to speak why they chose UC Merced.
I can share. For me, UC Merced was really, I just really liked how it was a small university, but at the same time, I knew it had everything I wanted to. I knew that I had a place here as a transfer student. When I went to an event called Transfer Days, I was very welcomed by the transfer community, and they wanted to hire, you know, incoming transfers for the program. So I felt like whatever I decided to do on campus, I felt supported. And I also I like the major that I'm in, human biology, because it offers me, you know, I was still deciding on what I wanted to do as far as career. So with human biology, I can go into different fields with that same major that I couldn't find, you know, this major specifically wasn't in CSUs. And I really wanted to do research as well, which I was able to do with UROC. So that's why I chose UC Merced.
Great, thank you, Nancy. Does anybody else want to speak on that? Erica?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a transfer student, but I can definitely advocate for UC Merced. I feel like because it is a new UC, a lot of people kind of like make jokes about it and stuff, but it really is a really great school. I talk to my friends all the time who go to other UCs, and when I tell them about our professors here, you know, how personal they are. I mean, personal, like they're very accommodating from what I've heard, the majority of our professors. And the staff is very nice. For example, TRV too, you know, we're always here to help. And it's just really nice to know that like you can just like go to somebody and they'll like point you in the direction that you need to go, or, you know, they can even like, for example, like when I first got here, like I would ask for help and people would like escort me. They'd be like, you know what, you're new, right? Like I'll take you to that building. And just that whole vibe, I thought, wow, like I really chose a great school because, you know, everybody's so kind. Also, to add on to what Nancy said, we have a lot of research opportunities because we are a more research-based campus. So if you're really interested in research, you can get research credits. You can even get paid for research. And if you really get on good terms with your professor, sometimes your professor will even offer you a research opportunity. So I think that's kind of a unique experience at UC Merced.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. So a question that we had gotten in the Q&A is, let's see, is it allowed to switch majors as a transfer student after your first semester? For example, switching into computer science and engineering major, if that matters. So Sheila, maybe if you can help me with that. From the last I heard, If you are switching majors within the same school, so School of Engineering, like computer science to engineering or mechanical engineering to computer science, something like that, that's fine. Or if you're doing biology to chemistry, that's okay. Sociology to psychology, that's okay. But let's say you try to do sociology to biology, you're switching schools, so they're not going to let you do that. I know that for a fact because I remember there was a girl who wanted to do that at orientation. She was telling me, and I was like, you can't do that. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, you can't do that. You can't switch to a whole new school because you're going to be so behind in transfer credits. But if you're switching within the same school, then it's fine. So engineering to engineering, computer science to engineering, that's okay. And then I did see your question about if there's any computer science majors or from the computer science department on the panel. We don't right now, just because my two students who were originally in that department, they graduated last semester. So I haven't found anybody yet. But if you really want to talk to somebody who has experience with that department, you can private message me your email, and then I can pass your email along to them, and they can reach out to you, even though they're alum. Can one double major in engineering? Okay, really good question. So short answer, yes. Long answer, you're gonna wanna really, really work with your current counselor or admissions advisor, and then really work with Carla. If you are trying to switch around, so I would say for both individuals, if you are wanting to switch around, you should probably start talking to Carla right now to kind of let her know, like, I am interested in possibly double majoring or switching over. So here's your email again. But Carla would be able to kind of give you more background on how long it will take and then what to do with the classes. Because also something with engineering that's really important is that some classes are only offered once a year. So they're only offered in the fall, only offered in the spring, just like how it is at most universities and community colleges. So if you decide to switch majors or double major, that might either hinder or help that decision. So yes, you can definitely double major. Just be aware of the extra work that you might have to do and really be on top of your My Degree audit then. Really be on top of what it is that you need in order to graduate. Also, again, really work with Carla, but work with your faculty, because if you can work with your faculty to try to alleviate some of the classes, that will really help. So if you're trying to take, if you have to take a certain class for mechanical engineering, and maybe that can count as an elective for let's see, if you want to use as an elective for the other engineering, I'm trying to think about engineering courses right now. That might be a possibility. Another possibility is to try to research with an engineering faculty member, and then you could use that research as units for your electives. So it's like you're taking a full course load and you're getting what it's needed for graduating, but it's not actually taking another class. I did that a lot. I got really lucky because I had 2 part-time jobs when I was a transfer student, and I was trying to transfer as quickly as possible. So I did research, and I used my research as units, and I'm really grateful that the faculty let me do that. For the students who are wondering, it sounds like we have 2 engineering, and I'm so sorry. I used to have more engineering students, but just not tonight. But I can definitely get you connected with a current engineering student or one who has already graduated either way. Do you have any questions about like research? A lot of the students currently are doing research. I know Nancy did UROC, and I think Paula is going to do UROC. Let's see. In regards to double majoring, can you only double major if you pick a major in the same college? Yes. So same thing. Like, let's say you're trying to double major in business and biology. You could do that if you started off as a traditional student. If you are coming in and you're transferring and you want to do that, then you need to have all the prerequisites for both business and biology, for example. You need to have them all ready, as if when you applied, you did like biology as your #1 pick and business as your 2nd pick. Because if you don't meet the requirements, they're not going to let you in as a transfer student, because it'll take you way too long to try to transfer out. So if you're coming from a community college and you're getting your associates in biology and business, then you probably could, because you have the stuff. But again, really got to talk to your advisors. And that's something you wouldn't be able to declare until you start here at UC Merced. So you couldn't come in already telling us you're double majoring. You would come in, talk to, let's say, engineering Carla, and you're like, okay, I want a double major and I want a double major in business. Then you got to walk over to Shaw and talk to Shaw, and they both have to agree that you can do it. School of Engineering and Shaw have to agree that yes, you can do that. So is it possible? Yes. But there might be some hoops you got to jump through. If the attendees have like really specific questions, like they want to know, like if you're moving to Merced, you want to know where to move like on campus. I know quite a few students who are in the panel right now do live off campus. Nancy did live in our transfer LLC last year. The transfer LLC is a on-campus community only for transfer students, and we reserve rooms for you. So, you don't have to worry about trying to find a room or being bunked with a traditional student. You would be bunked with a transfer student. And all of the rooms are reserved in the Valley Terrace, which is apartment style. So it's not like hotel or the typical dorm style where it's like the hallways and you got to walk down to go to the bathroom. It's an apartment style. And Nancy can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, thank you, Rosa. So for the LLC, we lived in Valley Terrace, and the building was called Stanislaus. So with Stanislaus and all the rest of Valley Terrace, it was kind of like apartment style complex in which it did look like an apartment. The only thing that it was missing was a kitchen. So you had your bathroom inside the dorm. You had either 2 or 3 bedrooms with 2 people per bedroom and like a communal living space. So it was really nice because you did get to live with other students on campus, but you also got a little bit more privacy than you would get with other dorms in which you lived with 4 other people in a bedroom and you didn't have, that personal bathroom space. So I really enjoyed it. They also had programming. The RAs as well as TRV provided programming. We did like movie nights and pizza nights and other just fun events. We also had like succulent planning. That was really fun. And yeah, that's how the transfer LLC was. I did forget to mention that it was all transfer students that lived in the LLC. So, you lived amongst other transfer students. I lived with transfer students that started either the same year as me or just had a different year, but either way, you lived with transfer students, and it was really nice because sometimes you had classes with them and you just ended up bonding really well. So yeah, that was my experience with the LLC.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. Let's see. So another question that's really, really common with transfer students is where to live. So we talked about on-campus options, but if anybody wants to talk about off-campus options, that would be great. Just some neighborhoods to kind of keep in mind. What does rent look like? And how did you find those off-campus options?
I can take that question because I've been living off campus since my second year here. So I know a lot of students, they utilize this Facebook page. It's called UC Merced Classifieds. To be honest, it's like for everything. If you need furniture, that's where I got most of my furniture. That's where I got my bed, got my table, my couch from there. But people do also post rooms or like houses. Like there's people from the Merced community who are on there who are like looking to rent out to students. And they'll like tell you the qualifications. I know that Zillow is also a thing. That's how I actually found the place I am with my friends. We kind of looked for a house. That's also an option. I'm not sure if the UC is still doing their off-campus housing. Oh, they still are? Okay. So there is also that option. You can apply, I think, through housing as well for that.
Yeah, so I know through housing, they have a student staff member who's like the off-campus coordinator who can help you then with that process too.
Yeah. That's a really good option. I know some of my friends have also stayed there. It is very convenient because we have a thing called Cat Tracks, which is a bus system that's free for all the UC students and graduate students. So you can ride the bus, and it actually has a specific stop for those off-campus UC affiliated apartments. And it also stops at different neighborhoods as well. So if you're not living at those apartments, it stops by Arrowwood, which is also a very like popular area. El Redondo is also a very popular area. As far as rent, it can fluctuate depending on the area you choose. I currently live by Arrowwood, and my rent, I pay $400 a month for rent. And to be honest, if we compare that to like the Bay or like SoCal, I think that's pretty cheap. So including utilities, I don't pay over $500 a month. So I think that's pretty nice considering if I was living somewhere else, it might be a lot more expensive. But that's kind of what it looks like. I think it's relatively affordable, and if you can get more financial aid, or if you tend to have a job, like I don't think there would be too much of a struggle.
For me, I don't think I'll be like too much of a help just because I lived in Heritage and they're no longer doing the Heritage apartments. So those were basically UC Merced offer housing like apartments through the school. But I think they ended that last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so UC Merced, a lot of us haven't seen it yet, but we grew during the pandemic to the 2020 side. That's what we call it. And so a new half of the campus was just developed, and that half has additional housing. So now there's brand new on-campus housing that has not been used yet. So it will hopefully start being used in fall 2021. So that's really exciting. And I had seen a question in the Q&A, is our transfers guaranteed housing at the LLC for the first year? So the way that we're currently doing right now is if you apply for on-campus housing, you won't see the transfer LLC live because it's not live right now. We're still like figuring out the logistics and making sure how many beds we can have. But once it goes live, then I'll go ahead and start contacting all of the transfer students who applied for housing. Starting first with our incoming. So our like brand new first semester is going to be in the fall. I'll contact them first to let them know that, hey, we have this option and if they would like to take it. So that's the way we go about it. So I'll kind of start going down the list. Like whoever applied first for housing, that'll be the first person I'll contact, and I'll go down the list. Once I'm done with all of our first year incoming, then I'll go through our continuing students. And then I'll just go in the order that people have submitted their housing application. So it kind of just depends on the number of beds and where you fall among that list. I don't know how large that list currently is because housing just hasn't sent it over my way yet. And they probably won't until after June 1st, since that's the transfer SIR deadline. Yeah. Let's see. Any other questions? Again, you can add it into the Q&A. You can even add it to the chat. But we're here to, just help you out as best as we can. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we got one more. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you can fill out the housing application right now if you have not SIR'd. I definitely don't recommend filling out housing until you SIR, just to be safe. That's just something I just recommend just generally. So once you have decided, whether or not you want to SIR, then I would go ahead and fill out the housing application. Also too, like, just so you know, like transfer students are still receiving, their acceptance letters right now. So don't worry about that. And I'll call everybody on the list. So even if, you decide to apply for housing like mid-June or late June, I'm still going to call you regardless, just because even if I see there's a large number of transfer students who really want beds, then at that point, I'll go ahead and advocate and work with housing to see if we can maybe make that happen to get as many students on campus if they want to be on campus as possible. So students do need to wait 24 hours after the SIR to apply for housing. So thank you, Sheila, for that. Yeah, and then Ricky went ahead and put it in the chat as well. So thank you. Yeah, any like words of encouragement, words of advice from anybody from the TRV team?
I just wanted to say that, you know, UC Merced is such a amazing school, especially for like how Nancy was saying in the beginning. I was very used to my community college, you know, like small classes, and that's something that I found here at UC Merced. And also that one-on-one interaction with your professor, it was very, very useful. And especially if you're thinking of like later on, I mean, we only have 2 years or 3 max, right, here at UC Merced. But if you think about like doing research, I think UC Merced is like a good school to do that, just because it gives you like a lot of opportunities to do research with your professors or even apply for UROC or SURF. I know that a lot of our my coworkers have done some type of research, and if you guys like have any questions on that, like feel free to reach out to us and we can just basically talk about like our experiences.
This is more general advice, but I tell this to all the students I work with. If you're comfortable with going to office hours, and if you can and you can make the time, I totally recommend making use of those office hours. And I'm not sure if, well, I'll explain briefly what office hours are, but it's kind of like this like time where your professors are just kind of in their office and they allow you to come in and ask questions. To be honest, even if you don't have a question, I recommend going, because if you like, I don't want to say it like this, but become best friends with your professor almost, because honestly, you're like all of our professors, they have connections. They're really cool people. They're super intelligent. And if you can, you know, like kind of establish that relationship with your professor, they can really help you kind of like progress academically and professionally. Like I said before, there's professors who give out research opportunities. Sometimes if you ask them about their research and you tell them that you're interested, and even if they don't have a position, they might make space for you, or they might even be like, you know what, I really like you. I know you have ambition, and they'll like email another professor or give you another professor's email and put in a good word for you so you can get those opportunities. Sometimes they like advertise internships. Like, it's just honestly, getting to know your professor can make such a huge difference in your academic and professional career. And yeah, that's why I recommend it. They can even write you letters of recommendation if you want to go to grad school. So yeah, that's like my biggest advice for anybody who's coming in.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Yeah, great advice. Definitely, especially as a transfer student, you are coming in, you're, you know, needing to pass your classes, you want to go ahead and graduate, but you want to prepare yourself for the future, for life after UCM. So definitely get to know your professors so you can get that experience that's needed in order for you to either go to graduate school or to enter your career field. And that way also you can get your letters of recommendation from them as well. So thank you, Erica.
I would like to just say a big thank you to everyone who did attend this evening, and just to also let you know that we will also offer this as a recording for an on-demand replay through our YouTube channel. So we do have the Become a Bobcat, a virtual series website available. So if you've been following along with that series, you know that we've offered over 40 different events over the last couple of months, starting as far back as February. We are getting ready to kind of somewhat wrap up this Become a Bobcat campaign, but we do still have a few more upcoming events. So take a moment at your leisure, take a look at that Become a Bobcat, a virtual series website, get yourself registered if there's a remaining upcoming event that is of interest to you. Otherwise, take the opportunity to find those on-demand replays. We have exciting topics, anything ranging from housing, transportation, dining options, financial aid. We had information sessions from all of our different schools on campus. So like I said, a lot of different topics, over 40 total Capital will be offered at the conclusion of this Become a Bobcat, a virtual series. This event tonight has also been a part of that series, and as I mentioned, will be available as an on-demand replay in just a couple of days. So make sure you do subscribe to our YouTube channel, which you will have access to through that website as well. One other thing I would like to push for you tonight is our drive-through tours. If you haven't heard of these yet, let me give you a little insight about what they're all about. We have a website available that you can go to get yourself registered during some of the dates and times that we do offer drive-through tours. And what a drive-through tour is that you get to drive to our beautiful campus, take a look around, from the comfort of your own car. So how amazing is that, right? From the comfort of your vehicle, you can get a beautiful tour. You will be able to stop at some of the different tour stops, scan a QR code, and get a little video, like a virtual tour guide will pop up for you. And they are current Bobcat students, so they will tell you from their perspective all of the great information, historic facts, figures about the new area of campus as well that opened fall 2020. So you definitely want to take advantage of that opportunity. Along the same lines, what I would like to push for you right now as well is to let you know that we have an expanded opportunity for this weekend only. So that's Saturday and Sunday this coming week. So just a couple of days from now, you will be able to take a self-guided tour or a drive-through tour. You can view our campus as well as some of our residence halls, including Granite Pass. And by visiting a college campus in person, it's such an important part of your journey in your education. And we definitely want to make sure that you have a chance to explore UC Merced and hopefully make us your future home. So definitely, once again, take a look at the Become a Bobcat virtual series website for more information about our previous events, as well as the drive-through tour. And hopefully you can make it out this weekend. If not, we do have virtual tours available on the website as well. So you can also, from the comfort of your home, take a virtual tour. All right, well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. This has been another great opportunity for everyone. We very much appreciate your attendance, and we hope to see you either this weekend or a future Become a Bobcat event. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful night.